ask you something more related to finances.
Mhm.
Because it seems there's a lot of, funny enough, money seems to be very available for whoever really wants it. So even though it's a scarcity product, meaning there's a limited amount in this world, it doesn't seem scarce, but still a lot of people lack finances. Why do you think, if money is so readily available, so few people are really living in financially free?
I would say one, money is not a scarce resource.
Because they can just press it.
They can just print it. And whatever we agree the value of money to be is what it is. Money is only as scarce or as limited as our imagination is, or at least the value of money is. That being said, with money being so readily available, or seemingly so readily available to those who want it, why is it that so many people are not living a life that's financially abundant? Money is readily available to people who understand money and adapt their ways to align themselves with accumulating a lot of it. For the people who don't do that, money is not readily available to them. And perhaps there are other things that are more important. Yes, they want money. Yes, it would be nice to be rich, but more as a concept than a reality. And sometimes we don't think that's true because the desire is so strong that we think it's actually more than a desire. You can want something, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily aligning yourself to get it. And until that happens, chances are most people will continue to not have financial abundance in their lives because they don't align themselves with money. They align themselves with the desire for money, which in essence means that they align themselves with poverty, because poverty is what gives you the desire for money.
It's very difficult, I think, to want something but not desire it.
It's very difficult to want something but not desire it. What is the difference?
I think if you pursue something, you must want it. But if you are desiring something, it means that you're constantly telling your brain you don't have it.
What you tell yourself is not necessarily aligned with, it's not directly aligned with what you're doing, at least not consciously. For example, the person could pursue something because they want something. And essentially, if you're pursuing something, wanting something, then you're telling yourself that you don't have it yet and that you have to work to acquire it. If you're telling yourself, I want this, so I will have this, and you're putting in the work to actually acquire it, then chances are you'll acquire it if you want it badly enough. Because chances are the way you think you're going to get it, you're probably not going to get it. And if that's depending on what it is, like money, if you're doing something solely for money, perhaps the first idea you have as to how you're going to acquire the money is not going to be the right idea. Meaning it's not going to be the idea that works. So there's certain spaces, there's certain careers that people go into when they just want money. And in my experience, the ones who found success were either in sales or they were in the business of money, the industry of money, finance. And that way they learned about money and they were able to align themselves with it. And thus they acquired it. And every business needs sales. That's pretty much, your sales team is pretty much the front line they're at the front line of your organization. They're the evangelists of your product or your services. And they spread the word to the world and draw in customers and keep those customers there to a large extent. And part of that is by just continuing to bring more customers in. Because everybody wants to do what everybody wants to do. I would say a better way of saying that is most people want to do what most people are doing. But you do have some outliers, some people that want to go against the grain, and whatever's happening is the thing that they don't want to do. Those people should be considered as well. So the concept of everybody is not really everybody. So it's really most people. Most people want to do what most people are doing. Because the value comes from the environment. Like money. Money is money because we just agree that it is. Doesn't really have any value outside of making things a little bit easier. And that's partially why we may agree to it. For example, if you go into a store and you try to purchase something without money, then it becomes a bit of a banter. Because now you have to give the person, you have to exchange with the person something that they see of value with whatever it is that you see of value. But if we all are in agreement that money is valuable, then we kind of skip that bantering process. We can just go grab what we want and pay the money for it. Otherwise, you can go grab what you want and have to give you a shirt for it. But what if he doesn't think your shirt is valuable? What if he wants your socks instead? What if he wants your sneakers instead? What if he wants your phone instead? And now you have to negotiate with him or her. I know you want my phone, you don't want my shirt, but maybe my socks, maybe my sneakers, one sneaker. You don't have to go through that process because we all agree that money has value. So in that way, it's practical, but the value of it is really made up at this point. So there's some benefit there. But if you want something, if you want money, you have to align yourself with money.
What do you think because some people do become rich overnight. It does happen. Rarely.
You mean like the lottery?
Or something with crypto, where they just luck out. Or they had one business idea that's just the first business that they had and it just blew up.
I get your point. I don't know any stories of people in pursuit of those things that actually get rich overnight. But they can get rich very quickly, relative to how long it has taken others to get rich. Yes.
What do you think are the pros and cons of that experience?
The pros and cons of getting rich quickly? I think that really depends on the person. Oftentimes we make generalizations, but it really depends on the person. For example, if you get rich at a later stage in life, but you get rich very quickly, quote unquote, it's likely to be a very different reality than for the person who got rich at 21 with the first thing that they've ever done. Maybe that person who's 65 who got rich off of this thing that he's doing now or that she's doing now in a year's time tried 1,000 other things before this happened. They also have a plethora of other experiences. They also may understand that money doesn't equal happiness. They understand that money is a tool. They use it as a resource. But maybe even at this point in their lives, they don't even use it to keep score anymore because they've lived a whole life without it. So it's a nice to have, but they're very clear on the fact that it's not a requirement. So their experience in their relationship with money may be very different. As opposed to someone who's 21 years old, they invested in some crypto 3-4 years ago, and now they're a crypto millionaire. They have a rather different experience. Perhaps they lack the discipline that's required to sustain success. Perhaps they lack the wisdom of self that's required to sustain success. But typically, those are the things that just come along with being young. As someone who's young, chances are you don't really know how to sustain anything, not just money. Right? There's some things that you just naturally have innately because biologically you have a predisposition to live, to survive. And for that reason, your body performs at an optimal level. For example, if you're 21 years old, you're still pretty much running on hormones. That's to help you live and procreate. Whereas if you're 65, that's not happening anymore. So you learn quite a few things by 65 that you don't probably understand at 21, 25. I think it depends on the person and it depends on which phase of life you're in. You get rich overnight at 80 years old. Would it really matter to you so much? How would you be doing? How would you be living with the money? I don't know. Depends on the person.
I think at that age, you just want to give it to your kids and grandkids. And if you have those.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you just give it to your favorite charity. If you have that.
And that's what I'm going to say. I think those people get fulfillment out of giving. And so, especially in those later days when they still want to make a big impact.
Maybe. Depends on the person.
Exactly.
Might be 80 at the club.
What do you think of the idea of having a goal that is money related? Let's say the goal is to be a millionaire by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Time and finance related goals. Do you think those can really work?
Sure. Time and finance goals can definitely work.
Because I hear people say, like, do what you're good at, develop all these things, and then the money will come.
In some instances, that's true. But I do think that there's some nuance missing there. Do the things that you're good at vigorously. Figure out where the money is in the thing that you're good at. Align yourself with that. Focus on providing as much value, if not more value, than the top players in that discipline. Usually it's more value or a different type of value, meaning find a void in the marketplace. The concept of just finding something that you're good at and the money will come, that's not necessarily true. There's people who do things every day and have been doing things every day for decades and really don't have any money to show for it. For example, a teacher. For example, a plumber that may have been very interested in plumbing, loves plumbing, but they don't necessarily open a plumbing business. They haven't necessarily invested in anything with their money that they got from plumbing. So the money coming means, yeah, maybe you get really good at plumbing. And you can be one of the higher paid people in plumbing. But chances are, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lead to you becoming financially free.
It's a concept that was interesting. Since money is not scarce, a scarcity, and everybody has access to knowledge, coaches, self-development, do you think everybody, not anybody, but everybody can be rich?
Do I think every person can be financially?
So yeah, like if I say like anybody, I would say like, yeah, you can be rich, you can be rich, you can be rich. And when I say everybody, it's like at the same time. So not separately. Like you have the ability, you also have the ability, you also have the ability, like everybody actually all executing it. Like what would happen if everybody's rich? And is that even a possibility?
I don't see where that would be possible in the current landscape of economics. In any system, socialism, capitalism, communism, I don't see it. And typically, we're only talking about capitalism because there's really no option for everyone to be rich in any other system or any other economic structure. It's just the people at the top that end up being rich. Otherwise, there's no one else. There's no middle. There's the top and the bottom, pretty much. Yeah, I don't see it.
How does that work? So if money is not a scarcity product, then why can't everybody be rich?
Because everyone is not going to align themselves with having money.
As in that's not who they are, or that's not even possible.
As in, that's not who they are.